My name is Rachel Okello and I'm a UK-based solicitor specialising in immigration, nationality and deportation law, and I do a series of YouTube videos just to share information and best top tips based usually on experiences I have as a solicitor, because I do immigration. That's all I do in terms of being a solicitor, day in and day out. So when things come up, I just like to share it with everybody. So if you're interested in UK immigration, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date with the new videos that I release. And also you can book a free case assessment with me if you want to discuss your case at www.clarityvisas.co.uk. And I can't escape it, I'm going to have to talk about it. It's the coronavirus, and I'm going to talk about the coronavirus and the impact that it's having on UK immigration. And I'm going to look at three key areas in my mind. One of which is the Home Office fee, the second one is the extension of stay, and the third one is bail. So in terms of the Home Office fee, I've spoken to many clients who are getting ready to extend their leave to remain in the UK, or become British, or make any immigration application. And obviously the question of the fee has come up, particularly in light of the coronavirus and the recent government guidelines where they are saying that all events in open spaces and where there's crowds of people, all these events should be cancelled, discouraging people from going to such events. Well, obviously, if these events are cancelled or people are going in lesser numbers, then it'll either be that the staff also lose their work, or some staff are not required to go in, particularly staff who are doing 0-hour contracts. And in terms of migrants who just arrived in the United Kingdom in particularly, they do work a lot in the hospitality industry. They could be waitresses or waiters, cleaners, security, anything to do with hospitality. So they in particular will be affected by the government advice against going to open spaces where their jobs will be stopped. And they still have to, however, pay the Home Office fee. So what I have been saying to people is they can look at the Home Office provision to apply for a fee exemption, because in all cases, even when it's not the coronavirus issue of the day, in all cases where somebody's going to make a human rights application, you can apply for the Home Office to give you a fee waiver so that you don't have to pay the fee. And this can be a savings of thousands of pounds, because it's a savings of the Home Office fee and also the immigration health surcharge and the biometric charge as well. So you won't pay anything to the Home Office, which currently is over £2,000. So if you're entitled to that, then you need to apply for that before you make your actual immigration application. So you need to make that application to waive your fee in good time, because then you'll get a code and you'll use that code to put into your main application instead of actually paying the Home Office fee. That's a big savings. It won't impact your solicitor's fee. If you're entitled to legal aid, then you can of course go and see whether the solicitor is a legal aid solicitor, and they will give you legal aid if you're entitled to it, or they may offer instalments such as we do to help clients budget, an instalment option so that you can manage to apply for your immigration case in time. And that moves me on to the next point that I wanted to look at, which was having an extension of stay, which in times such as these, where the UK seems to be on everybody's hit list, nobody wants UK citizens, British citizens, to come to their country who have been living in the UK, or even people who've been living in the UK who are not British, who have just passed through the UK, or who've stayed in the UK for some period of time and are moving on to another country. A lot of countries have closed their borders to British citizens. So you need to check with your particular country, or in particularly a country that you're going to pass through, because your own country will probably have to take you back. But a country where you need to transit may not allow you to transit if you are coming from the UK, and therefore you may be stopped from going home, and therefore you may find yourself stranded in the UK when your visa has run out. So you need to take specific advice from the Home Office or from solicitors, immigration advisors, as to what your options are. At the very outbreak of the coronavirus in the UK, the Home Office did issue guidance for Chinese nationals or people who've been living in China, that their visas would automatically extend up to the 31st of March 2020, and they didn't need to apply for that. That was automatic. So we need to check for everybody else, because the Home Office, I think, is a bit slow in their guidance so far to the pandemic, because the government has said we are now at the pandemic stages, and the Home Office, I think, are not really committing themselves to what people can or can't do. So you need to get advice on that, on your options, if your visa is going to run out at times where either the borders are closed or the airlines, because that's another thing as well, airlines are also not having flights to certain countries. Trains and coaches are not going to certain destinations, so you'll need to check and apply for an extension of stay if that applies to you. And then the third thing was a not so related issue of immigration bail. There are at this point thousands of people held for immigration purposes only, administrative purposes, where they are only being held in immigration detention centres because their paperwork is not in order. They don't have permission to be in the UK, but they most likely have an outstanding application. And for one reason or another, the Home Office has decided to detain them. So you could, if you're making an application for bail in any event, you can also add to that the issue of the coronavirus, particularly if you are a person who's vulnerable. So if you are somebody who has an underlying health issue, or if you're somebody who is elderly and you're in immigration detention, you can also seek to persuade the immigration judge to release you, just for the purposes of you are more at risk of the coronavirus, either contracting the coronavirus, or if you've got it, of spreading the coronavirus, because you are in immigration detention. I don't agree with immigration detention anyway. I think it's a horrible way to treat people, really, just to detain them for immigration purposes. Other solutions, I don't have a solution to an alternative necessarily, but that's for another day. But just at this point to say that if you are making an application for bail, then you can add any issues which arise because of the coronavirus, or you can make an application for bail specifically based on your particular vulnerability to the coronavirus if you are in immigration detention and you have an underlying health issue or you're an elderly person, because clearly there'll be staff coming in, there's visitors coming in and sitting there with possibly fatal consequences if you are a person who is vulnerable. Okay, so those are the three things I wanted to talk about in terms of how the coronavirus is impacting UK immigration: Home Office fees and applying for a fee waiver, extension of stay and not letting your visa run out, expire whilst you're in the UK. If you have already got leave to remain and you put an application into the Home Office in time, then whether the Home Office agree or don't agree when they make a decision, the time that you have actually made an in-time application up to the time that they decide, you are eligible to stay in the UK on the same basis as your original visa. And hopefully, I mean, you may make the in-time application and the Home Office will take their time, as I think they probably should, to make decisions just to get this whole situation resolved in terms of the coronavirus and where the UK is headed. So don't forget, your application needs to be made in time so that your leave to remain continues whilst the Home Office decide whether you can or cannot stay because your visa is expired, and the issues of the coronavirus, which are global issues. And then we looked at bail and applying for immigration bail, particularly if you're somebody who is vulnerable under this new coronavirus pandemic. So that's it for me. I hope that was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, share widely. There's some major top tips in this video that people may want to know about. And book your free case assessment if you need to at www.clarityvisas.co.uk, and follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Clarity Visas, and keep in touch. Rachel Okello, UK-based solicitor specialising in immigration, nationality and deportation law. Thank you, take care, goodbye.